What problems are troubling you? What's frustrating you, bothering you, worrying you? Want solutions? Want answers? Welcome to Here We Come to Save the Day, hosted by David Adelson. This podcast is dedicated to solving everyday and global problems in an uplifting, fun, enjoyable way. There is a solution to whatever's troubling you. Ask your questions, and we'll do our best to give you practical, useful, workable solutions you can use starting today. Join us now with David's special guest experts who will share their own experiences, life lessons, and practical strategies for creating the life you long for. Start living your best life today, right now, with David Adelson and friends.
Hi, David Adelson here with peaceandharmonyco.com. Also, Here We Come to Save the Day podcast. Today, we just want to cover very quickly the 4 premises, maybe there's 5, but I believe there's 4 premises on which the philosophy behind which our company is built. And the first one is everything emerges from the unified field through the quantum field and on into creation, into the experience that we have. And there's some other levels within there. There's actually things between the unified and quantum field, but that's not of concern. So everything emerges from there in a sequence. And when it emerges in sequence properly, everything is good. Everything in the universe, everything in the world supports everything else. Everybody gets all their desires fulfilled. There's health, there's happiness, there's prosperity and wealth and prosperity, and all these good things happen. And then what happens is that if something happens and something gets knocked out of kilter, either internally or externally, then, for instance, a hailstorm comes and hits the crops, and now they grow in a different form than they would have without the hailstorm. So just like that, things can come from outside and cause the path to be in a different direction. Things can come from inside that can, some simple misthought or stress or strain, something changes. And now we're no longer in sync. And when we're not in sync, and this is point 3, non-happiness occurs, which is a nice way to say that things go wrong. We get grumpy. We get miserable. Life is not fun for us. We think that life is the pits. We think that God is dead, or we're all abandoned, or the world is falling apart. All kinds of things happen when we're out of sync. And then the 4th premise that we have is that we can reconnect those original energies, intelligence, impulses, whatever impulses is good, from the unified field, from the quantum field, to reset the pattern so that things go straight again. Kind of like if the stalk of the wheat, for instance, has been hit by a hailstorm and it's growing at a crooked angle now, we go in and we show it how to be straight again. We teach it how to be straight so that it goes up. This is not the same as putting a Band-Aid on. Maybe a Band-Aid is needed, maybe not, but the impulse for it to grow straight is reintroduced at the current level. I don't know a lot about stem cells, but I think there's something like that in the stem cell philosophy as you go back to a level of a cell before some error occurred, and then you reintroduce it. I don't know much about stem cells, so I don't know whether that's a good analogy or not. Now, there's 2 other points that we want to bring out, and one is that our understanding is the world is as we are, that the way that we have been raised allows us, and our own experiences and our interpretation of those experiences are why we see the world the way we see the world, and no one else sees the world that way, which is why we have sayings like, before you pass judgment on somebody, walk a mile in their shoes. I think it sometimes maybe needs to be more than a mile. But here's the thing, when we think about a multidimensional universe, what we have right now on the planet is an extensively multidimensional universe, because every single person on the planet is seeing a different world. First of all, it changes for each of us when we move from waking state to sleep state to dream state. Waking state, we see the world a particular way. We see Times Square, we see commercials, we see fields of wheat, we see whatever we see, we hear music, and based on what has happened in our past, we interpret that experience of seeing Times Square, the field of wheat, or hearing the music to our benefit or to our distraction or to whatever. It's our interpretation of what's being presented creates the universe with which we live in. And our interpretation is completely different from someone else. So someone may see Times Square and think, my God, this is the pinnacle of human evolution, and isn't this amazing? Look at what's going on. And somebody else may go, oh my God, this is commercialism at its worst, and look how horrible and what we've become. And other people may say, how can you live like this? And other people can say, oh, I wish I lived like this. All these different possible things. Some people may look at a field of wheat and say, oh, is it GMO? Is it non-GMO? Is it organic? And they go through all this intellectual discourse within themselves before just appreciating that it's beautiful. Or someone else may come along and say, my God, amber waves of grain. This is fabulous. This is amazing. Look how beautiful it is. And both of them are having the same experiences as were the different people at Times Square, but they're all perceiving and interpreting and reacting and responding based on something unique and individual to them. And again, that goes through with listening to music or whatever it is. You know, one song can delight one person and it can cause another person to break down and cry. Same song, based on what's been going on. So because what has been going on literally colors our perception, it's as if the mind puts, I want to say glasses, but it doesn't. It's the mind and the intellect and the ego to some extent that interpret what's coming in through our five senses: hearing, taste, touch, smell, sight. That filter based on past experiences and past interpretations of experience is what determines how we view the world. So a friend of mine is walking down the hall. His 7-year-old, he stops to look at something behind him and respond to somebody behind him. And while he's doing that, his 7-year-old daughter steps in front of him. He turns around and starts walking before he sees her, and he bumps into her. And she is traumatized for 2 days about that he hates her, that he despises her, and all of this. That's her interpretation of an experience. And his interpretation was, I didn't see you there. I didn't realize you had crept in. And so right there we have, and then different people in the household may interpret that he was, klutzy or non-observant, or that he was perfectly fine. All of these different judgments and interpretations take place on a singular event. It's not a question of what's right or wrong. It's a question of how did we interpret it, and are we making maximum use of it for ourselves? And that's one of the things that we want to talk about. So when we say the world is as you are, what it means is that what you see in the world is what's inside you. If you're somebody who's angry all the time, then the world upsets you. If you're somebody who's loving all the time, then the world delights you, regardless of what's going on. So when we look at the world and we decide that the world is a mess and needs a lot of help, or we decide that everything is as it should be, all of that is internalized based on us. And again, we talked about waking state versus sleep state. When you're asleep, your awareness of the world is non-existent. Your awareness of anything is non-existent. Somebody else in the room may be looking at you and you're asleep, and they're having an experience of the room, but you're not because you're asleep. And then if you enter dreaming, you could be in the jungle, you could be on a boat, you could be in a plane, you could be playing hopscotch, you could be anything, anywhere in the universe, just about. You could be undersea scuba diving, you could be so many things. And that's your experience while you're dreaming. But again, that person standing in the room looking at you, that's not their reality of what's going on. So we bring to the table the equipment to appreciate the world. Now, here's the thing. the way that we fix the world, and we have a lot of products that are actually specifically designed to help move things in the world, but the first thing we want to do is clear ourselves so that we get back in that sequential flow of unified field, whatever's in between there, quantum field, and then we stay in that sequence of flow so that we're in that wholeness and totality of unfoldment where everything is good. And that's what we want to be in. And so we have many different programs and services that offer that. We have the Peace and Harmony programs. We have many audio files and video files that you can download for health or wealth or relationships. We have tinctures for moving on if your relationship has ended, or for healing grief if you've lost something or someone significant in your life. We have some for forget about it. If you've had a nightmare or some traumatic event and you're trying to get rid of PTSD, these are all tinctures that we have. We have cards that you can carry in your pocket that or put under your pillow, Viru cards that are good for so you stop getting in your own way, so that you see yourself the way others do, for self-love, which so many of us so desperately need. So we have so many different programs like that, and they're all designed to be effortless. Artwork that you can just look at, or a photograph that you can just put on your wall, and it generates these unified field and quantum field. We call them quantum infused and unified field infused impulses, energies, intelligence, and it just radiates it into the world so it can help you. So I encourage you to go to peaceandharmonyco.com and check out some things. And the website is always in the process of being updated, so as it is right now. So enjoy and keep looking back. There's new things offered all the time. I have almost 100 programs that are not yet on the website to purchase that have been developed in some cases for more than a year. So to recap, there's a sequence of how creation emerges from a scientific basis, from a consciousness basis. Doesn't matter how we describe it. The unified field of all the laws of nature is how physics describes it. Pure unbounded awareness or pure consciousness is how the Vedas, Vedic literature, Vedic, Vedic literature, which is the oldest recorded literature on the planet, talks about it and talks about how these different impulses emerge. Now, here's the thing. If you have a problem in your life or something that you're unhappy about or something that you want to change, you want to do what nature does. Nature always takes the path of least action. And we know how difficult it is to instigate change on the crude surface level, to eat a particular way, to go to bed at a particular time, to do or not do something. That can be very difficult. But when we introduce the unified field infused, the quantum infused energy that automatically reset it, it becomes effortless. It becomes completely effortless to make changes. It may still take a little bit of time depending on what changes you're trying to make, but we can move in that direction. So one of the things that we want to attend to is, in order to heal the world, the first thing we need to do is heal ourselves. And we do that by going within to, maybe we do a meditation practice. TM is great. There are some other ones that have some research as well, but TM has the most extensive research showing that it works. But whatever works for you. We make changes from within, and then that helps change the world from without. One of the things that happened a lot as a teacher of TM is that someone would come in after 2 or 3 months of meditating, and we'd say, well, what's going on? And they say, well, nothing's happened for me, but everybody at work has gotten nicer. My boss is nicer. Work is easier than it's ever been. I make more sales, or whatever it is flows more easily. My wife or husband is kinder to me. The dog is nicer to me. The kids go easier, but I'm not noticing anything within me. But all of that comes from what happens within them. So the last thing I think those are the main things we want to do. Let's even skip any more. So the basic premise of all of our work is everything emerges from the unified field and through several layers to the quantum field and then into creation. It emerges in a sequence. When it emerges in the right sequence, everything is good. When something happens that messes up the sequence, we get stressed, we get angry, we get uncomfortable, we get insomnia, we get eating disorders, whatever happens. And then, but what we can do is we can reintroduce from the quantum, we call, again, unified field infused, quantum infused energies, impulses, programs that can reset so you can move forward in harmony. We absolutely believe that an amazing, incredible time of enlightenment, of bliss, of happiness, of all harmony everywhere is coming for the world. We believe it's inevitable. It's a question of how quickly humans adjust and adapt to it, how quickly people take advantage of programs such as ours. And there are literally thousands of people offering great programs right now that are aligned in truth. And there are some that are offering something in the name of truth that aren't in truth. So make sure you're getting the results that you expect and things are moving the right way before you commit to something. I think that's all we want to say. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how our things came into existence next on a video I made a week or two ago. And I wish you all success and happiness and love in your life, and especially to love yourself. There's a little exercise you can do to love yourself, which is simply to look in the mirror or even look down at yourself, or even while you're falling asleep, and just say, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Just say it for 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes, 10 minutes tops. Start doing that every day. And don't worry in the beginning whether you feel love for yourself. Just say the words and allow. And over a very short time, this can be a very powerful tool to develop greater love for yourself. And when we love ourselves, it's easier to love others and the world. Okay, we're going to edit into to part 2 now. And thank you so very much. Hi, David Adelson here with the Peace and Harmony Company. I want to tell you a little bit about the background and the development of our new Peacemaker 10,000, Peacemaker 15,000, and Peacemaker 30,000 devices, systems that generate peace and harmony for literally miles around, depending on the population. And they go for 10,000 people for the first one, or 10 square miles, 14,000 people for the second one, or 15 square miles, and 30,000 people, or 30 square miles, depending on the density of the population. And these are very exciting systems, and we're really excited to bring them out because they're small, they're portable, and they're incredibly powerful, and they're much simpler to use than some of our other devices. And I want to give you a little history of those because it's really intriguing. We spent more than 30 years studying consciousness, quantum physics, unified field physics, and the end result of that was about, I want to say 20 years ago, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, interesting things started happening. I want to background a little bit. I'm one of those people who had very powerful and profound, we'll call them spiritual experiences when I was young. Some of these are detailed in my ebook, Awaken to Who You Are, which is available at the peaceandharmonyco.com website. And then there are other lectures here and there where I refer to different things that I experienced young. After I became a meditation teacher, I came to realize that I had the ability to move around within consciousness, within the unified field, that if I were intending to, while I was meditating with other people, I could bring them along with me so that they would have deeper, profound experiences. I learned over time in my abilities that I could see what was happening within other people's awareness when they were meditating, how deep they were going, what was going on, what the blocks might be, and we learned to clear some of those. So we opened a practice to do that, and we were working with people to clear blocks within within themselves and their physiology for health issues, and especially for spiritual development, whatever type of meditation or whatever, didn't matter. We were just whatever we could do to help people. So we were doing that for a while, and then I was told in the early 2000s, maybe even 1999, something like that, 2000, I was told that I could bring in energies from these unified field, from the level of physics, we called them unified field, quantum field, that I was able to bring these things in from a spiritual context. We might call them the higher planes or heaven or whatever we want to call them, doesn't much matter, but that I could bring in these higher energies and and put them in different products so that people could benefit from them. And the first thing that we started creating was this artwork. At the time, we called it Cosmic Geometry. We haven't really changed the name of it, but here's a couple examples of some things that we created. And what it did was even the white space is part of it, is part of the wholeness, and it shifts deep within the consciousness of the person looking at it, who only needs to look at it for just, a few minutes daily, and it will start to shift things in their awareness so that they can experience more and more and more in terms of wholeness, in terms of spiritual growth, in terms of healing specific physical or emotional or relationship discomfort. Some of them are to bring in wealth. Some of them are to heal hearing issues. Some of them are to expand their understanding of the multidimensional universe. There's a whole bunch of different ones, and we created about 70 of those, went on to create about 70 tinctures with my partner, Laura Adelson. At the time, we made about 70 tinctures. She's made some others since then, and we've jointly created an Ascension line more recently than that. We started making CDs and DVDs. Photography came first. So the artwork, then the photography, the tinctures came in around the same time. We created, I want to say, 70 what we called cosmic geometries to address all the different issues. We created all these photography, 30, 40 different of these. We call them divine photography, whatever we call them. And again, these open multidimensional awareness and help structure wholeness. Wholeness we define as our connection to the totality of all creation at its basis in the unified field. So we're connecting at a very profound level so that we're united with the rest of creation, which means we can move in synchrony with it so that everything moves forward in a positive, life-supporting direction. So this is a very special quality that we've been able to do. I know there are other people who do other wonderful things too, and we praise them and have only good things to say for anyone who's bringing truth and light to the planet today and nourishing everyone. So we're very pleased to be among those people, and we're very grateful for these gifts that we've been given. So we've been creating these programs that structure wholeness. These Peacemaker systems do that as well. So after the photography, it came that we could do some silent DVDs and silent CDs. And all the time that we're developing these 70 products or 30 or 40 pieces of photography or art or whatever, the ongoing question before the creation of each one is, what problem do we want to solve? What is something that causes misery or suffering to people on the planet? What is it they don't want anymore? What is it they want to get rid of? And then we would create specific specific solutions to deal with those problems. We weren't creating problems. That's not fun for anybody. So we were creating all of these, and so we specifically said, what do people want as far as the CDs and DVDs? And we created 7 DVDs and 6 CDs, and they address things like finances and health and spiritual connection and what our life purpose is and happiness and joy and clear thinking. So there were a number of those, and people were having very, very profound results. They were very expensive. A set of the 7 CDs was like $700, and people were noticing the different qualities of each one, even though they're completely silent. So we created these CDs and DVDs, and then and one of the things that happened at the time was one of our clients was involved in a project in Hungary where they were concerned about a specific soccer team that a big financial investment was going on. We won't go into all the details of that, but the team had been losing, and the danger was that they would be ejected, kicked out of, reduced from the major leagues to the minors, because in Hungary what they do is the 3 lowest teams in the majors get dropped to the minors, the 3 best minors get bumped up to the majors every year. So there was this big financial thing going on, and they were very concerned about it. And he called up, and we sent him just one of these programs. And we said, play this for 3 hours before the game, during the game, and for 3 hours after the game. And they did it 3 times, and each of the 3 times they did it, they won the game. And so that changed that whole thing. And so we started really thinking more globally about what can we do with these programs. And we developed, we never even named this program. It was just a huge tower. Here's a picture of it. And the tower goes above my head. Those things on the top are each 5-foot tower speakers that are horizontal. I think they weighed like 70 pounds each. You can see all, what's holding the whole thing up, these blue pipes that are holding it up. And then this whole tower of players and mixers and all of this with, I think 16, I can't remember how many different things. It's this huge, 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 huge thing. And that was what we started with. And then from there, this was our first bigger system. From there, we also developed this globe project. You can see just 2 lines of it. It was actually, again, 13 globes stacked in this tower that were designed to be affecting qualities, again, these 13 qualities, for as much of the planet as we could broadcast to at the time. And around this time, we started experimenting with taking devices. We'll come back to that in a second. From the Globe Project in 2008, at one point, I was guided to sit down and create these 3 programs, very, very immensely powerful programs, and then told to just put them away, that we couldn't bring them to the world at this time, that it was too early. And about 3 years later, in 2011, there was all this concern about the big shift in the Mayan calendar to 2012 and all of all of the sphere around it. And at that point, there was some danger in the world of some very specific things happening, and we created what we called smooth transition systems, which used these 3 programs, specifically the base one, which was called the CETA smooth transition system. And so these were, here's an image of what this looks like. Again, we have 4-foot speaker towers on the floor, a big receiver amplifier that went into it, 55-inch TV went into it, and some other equipment. So it's a big piece of equipment that had very specific, it had to be 7 feet from the wall, that were these broadcast towers of these unified field and quantum field energies, intelligence energies that would radiate for literally miles around. And the first one that went up in Austin, Texas. And the weekend after it went up, they had the worst forest fire in the history of Texas. And it was right in the area where this was. But the people who had this system, they said in their neighborhood, they never even smelled smoke. So, and they felt that had a lot to, that they were protected from this. So we had several of these systems go up across the country. We had one go up in Ireland. We've had more go up since that time. And people reported reduced crime, better weather conditions, and the people in Florida who had it said it averted hurricanes. In Oklahoma, it averted tornadoes for several years until the system went down. System's down for 2.5 weeks. They have a big tornado. We get the system back up, and again, things smoothed out in the area. So we have these, but they're big and powerful, and had a whole lot of when you turned it on, when you turned it off, restrictions, how far from the wall, how big the room had to be, and everything. It was very uncomfortable. And actually, we had a number of them. People had donated the money for them, and we spent months and months trying to find people who could live with those restrictions, who could just house the unit in these particular parts of the country. So we realized we needed to do more. It needed to be easier for people, more effortless. We went on, we created Heaven machines, which again were small computers, had a limited range, but again, people would write back, Heaven machines work. They noticed huge things on their property. One person putting it together was putting it up in a closet, and as soon as he turned it on, he said he had no option but to sit down and do a long meditation. that he experienced huge, he called it a bliss machine. He said it was, like when he was doing programs in large groups of more than 1,000 people. So very, very powerful results with these heaven machines. But again, we weren't happy with them. We went back and developed systems that went from, again, a TV system, maybe some speakers, maybe not, depending, starting with, 24-inch TVs, 32-inch TVs, 40 inch, 55-inch TVs, again, with huge towers and everything, that cost, thousands and thousands of dollars for the equipment and to do the whole thing. And again, we're always thinking, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? And now we're at the point where we have these very, that we're incredibly excited about. We keep refining and bringing in more energies of these quantum energies. These are now quantum infused programs, unified field infused programs of the best energy, the cleanest energy, the most timely energy, given what's the energies that are on the planet, that we can use to reduce the violence, the unclear thinking of decision makers, crime, that increase harmony. There's a sample program that you can click and get a download to just show how it reduces, family squabbles or bickering in the house, can change the whole experience of a Thanksgiving dinner or any family gathering. It can change the energy at work, and that's just the simplest unit. And these new systems that we have of the Peacemaker, 10,000, 15,000, and 30,000. These are very, very simple, small devices. They come on a MacBook Air or a MacBook Pro, the latest version, and that's all you need. And it can affect these huge, huge, huge things. We just wanted you to understand how they've evolved to this part, how powerful they are, how we've continually been refining this. The current ones are a result of, we started researching this stuff in the early 1970s, and this is where we are right now. We're incredibly excited about it. We urge you to take advantage of it. And if there's any questions that you have, please check on the website, check on the frequently asked questions page, the FAQs, and email us. But try the sample, and if you feel that this is something that you would like to support, we encourage you to get these systems for yourself, for your family, for your neighbors. Use these systems. They can really dramatically smooth out the transition that's going on in the world. Our vision is a very amazing, incredible, harmonious world where everyone works for the benefit of everyone else, but at the same time, everyone gets what they want, and it just works out spontaneously, harmoniously, effortlessly for everyone. These systems are incredible because you get the new ones. All you have to do is open it, turn it on, press play, and that's it. That's it. And then it just plays and plays and plays, and then you check it every once in a while, and maybe every 3 or 4 months. I don't know. You may never have to restart the program. It's very, very simple, very effortless, and we made it that way on purpose. It's silent. It's incredible. It's quantum infused, it's unified field infused, and it can help bring a heavenly life for you and those that you love, can help reduce the stress, the strain, and the dangers involved around you, and you can live a safe, happy, healthy life, and we encourage you to do that. Thanks so much for listening, and best of luck in whatever you choose to do. Thank you so much. David Adelson, Peace and Harmony, co.com, Peace and Harmony Company. Thanks very much. Also, you may want to check out our podcast, Here We Come to Save the Day, where we interview highly successful and educated and intelligent and trained and people in all different areas of life to help you live the best possible life you can. So check out our other programs at peaceandharmonyco.com. Find what works for you and enjoy your life. That's what you're here to do. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to another helpful, fun, and life-changing episode of Here We Come to Save the Day with David Adelson. To access the show notes and additional resources, go to herewecometosavetheday.com. If you've enjoyed the show and find it helpful and fun, please leave us a review and share with a friend. Tell us issues troubling you or questions you have. We're here to help you. That's what Here We Come to Save the Day is all about. Till next time.